A good Friday morning to you, Central Georgia. Thanks for tuning in here for a look at your weather impact extended forecast. So we're going to go over a few facts about what we've seen so far over the last couple of days. And the one word to sum it up is a whole lot. Well, that's more than one word, I guess, but rain. We're going to talk about how much rain we've received over the last 2 days from some of these scattered showers and a couple of storms in some areas. Some of the totals are quite shocking over a short period of time. But then we'll get into your event-specific forecast for everything going on for Father's Day weekend and a look at what's ahead in the extended forecast. So if we'll click forward right here, we'll flash to your 48-hour rainfall totals first. Give it a second to populate right here. I put a couple of keys on there. There we go. So we can see these locally heavy amounts, and you hear us refer to that, but what that means is some isolated areas, not necessarily widespread whatsoever, are going to continue to see heavier rainfall totals or higher rainfall totals from heavy precipitation associated with thunderstorms that kind of just roll over and sit over the same areas. So in areas like Eatonton, you see nearly 3.5 inches of rain over the last 2 days. In the same cluster, about 2.5 inches of rain. Actually, this is going to be south of Lake Oconee, right there on the county line of Putnam and Hancock counties. But then you just take it down to Sparta, you don't see really anything in the way of these blue shades, maybe a very light shade of blue. And down in Sandersville, only recording about 1/10 of an inch of rain. But you go north of town in Sandersville on the Washington County line, 4.5 inches of rain over the last 2 days. It's a very similar story in other counties, some patches of some heavy rainfall, close to 2 inches around Irwinton. But then you take it over here into Macon-Bibb County, just shy of 1 inch of rain in North Macon. But then if you go to downtown Macon, you can see that the blue gets lighter in color, so not necessarily seeing that much rain. About 2.5 inches of rain right there on the county line of Monroe County and Jones County, somewhere around the Juliet area. Only 2/10 of an inch of rain in Gray, 2/10 of an inch of rain over in Thomaston, and 2/10 of an inch over in Milledgeville. We take it down a little bit farther along the I-75 corridor. You can see this patch of green, some yellow, about 2.5 inches of rain around the Centerville area and Warner Robins just off I-75. But then if you go over towards Bon Air, you're going to see a couple of light blue shades. So that's going to once again be totals that are below 1 inch in total, or below 1 inch in totals. Go into this very patch of some green yellow right in the middle of Bleckley County, north of Cochran, just over 3 inches of rain. Some patches over in Taylor County, maybe just shy of 1 inch. Right there, the county line of Macon and Dooley counties, close to 2 inches of rain. But this is where most of the rain has fallen over the last couple of days. Our south and our southeastern counties, close to 6 inches of rain down on the county line of Telfair and Wheeler counties. You're seeing this patch of some red right here. Around downtown Alamo, nearly 5 inches of rain. Just south of McRae in central Telfair County, about 3 inches of rain. So these areas have seen their fair share of some strong, even some severe thunderstorms, especially central Toombs County, about 5.5 inches of rain over the last 2 days. They did, in fact, get a severe thunderstorm warning. And in fact, most of these totals did come from 2 days ago. We did add a little bit to this total as of yesterday, but still really not dealing with much in the way of rain yesterday as compared to what they did see on Wednesday, and nearly 4 inches of rain in Treutlen County up in Soperton. So yesterday's almanac, we hit a high temperature of 90 degrees, so that's one shy of average for this time of year, nowhere near our record whatsoever. Take a look at how much rainfall we recorded at Middle Georgia Regional Airport. Nearly 2 inches of rain. So you see 1.78, that has done a vast difference in our year departure number. We're hovering over 2 inches above where we should be this time of year in terms of rainfall. So we'll get into the month of June specifically. That total brought us back from the dry category all the way up to the a bit wet category. And I think it's probably a little bit more than a bit wet, but still about 2.5 inches of rain, over 2.5 inches of rain so far in the month of June. So we're creeping closer and closer to where we should be this time of year. For the average June rainfall, that's just under 4 inches of rain. But you can see we have plenty of days to go, over half of the month of June to go, and just to get about 1.2 inches of rain right there. And it is worth noting that the average June rainfall, it takes into account all of the sums of every single year since we started taking records back in the late 1800s. This number yesterday was 3.8. So we've seen it rise to 3.82, just giving you an idea of what our totals so far have just kind of risen the average. And this is all time. This is a large sample size. So an increase of only about 2/100ths of an inch is pretty substantial for what we saw yesterday in terms of rainfall. The record was back in 2013, about 12¼ inches of rain. Hopefully we don't get anywhere near that record. That would have some flash flood implications. But what we just saw down in Telfair and Wheeler County, those rainfall totals over the last couple of days have resulted in some flash flooding, the washing out of some dirt roads, even some railroads down there. We're hoping that we're keeping most of those flash flood warnings away. However, we still have more rain in the forecast, so we're going to continue to monitor that very closely. In the year of 2025, where are we now? So we are about an inch above where we should be at this point in June so far. Obviously still below what we typically have for an average for the month of June in its entirety, but just throughout about the 12th day of the month. So this is as of June 12th. So 12 days into June, we typically see somewhere maybe around an inch, a little over an inch of rain at this point in the month of June all time. So we're hovering about an inch over that already, and we're probably only going to continue to see this number climb depending on if we get any rain showers that go over Middle Georgia Regional Airport. But the story for 2025 so far has been below average rainfall in January and February to kick off the year. March and April didn't see that much of an increase, somewhere about a ½ inch where we should be those months. But then May really put us above average and back actually kind of really around normal, kind of canceled out those two red boxes that you see in January and February. Now June is just continuing to add a little bit of a cushion, now hovering 2 inches above average where we should be this time of year. And you could probably guess it, no one in the entire state of Georgia is not in any form of drought categories, dry areas. And this is as of June 10th. This is as of this past Tuesday. So it's not even taking into account any of the rainfall that we got over the last 2 days. So yes, we are definitely not going to have to worry about drought conditions for the foreseeable future. So now let's take it one step farther. Let's go into your weekend forecast. What's in store for your Friday, your Saturday, your Sunday, Father's Day plans? Well, scattered showers and storms continues to be the story on Future View. Right now, you can see this cluster of maybe some thunderstorms popping up around 5, 6 o'clock later this afternoon. This will be really close to those areas I was just showing you that have gotten a lot of rain over the last couple of days. Don't get too locked into the specific location of where this rain is. Just think of this as the potential and the coverage of scattered showers and storms that we will see. It does look like it's going to be a little bit later into the afternoon. We'll start out seeing some scattered showers, and then some of those will intensify into more so some thunderstorms. We could even see some of those storms start to cluster and group together, and it looks like they're going to generally have this kind of south to north motion, just like the past 2 days have had. We're having this southerly flow right now. So we're going to continue to push moisture in from areas down to the south, whether that's the Gulf, whether that's the Atlantic, and that's going to continue to move up to the north across central Georgia before we go into the nighttime hours. And then we finally start to see some of this rain get a little bit lighter in nature. That's going to be the trend each and every night here on Future View. We may start out with a couple of showers in the morning hours. Overall, it will be mostly dry to kick off Saturday morning and to kick off Sunday morning. It's not until we get to around lunchtime we see scattered rain trying to pop up a little bit earlier into the afternoon, which wouldn't be a bad thing whatsoever. I know you don't want any rain for any outdoor plans, but the good news is this would not allow our temperatures to get as warm as they could, and along with that, our feels-like temperatures to get as warm as they could. Scattered showers, maybe a storm or two once again for your Saturday afternoon. This is going in past lunchtime now, about 2 p.m. And if we do see this activity pop up a little bit earlier in the afternoon, we may actually end up with some clearing a little bit earlier into the evening hours. This is 5 p.m. on Saturday, and it does look like we may be entirely clear if we go along with what Future View says by about the 8 p.m. hour on Saturday. So that wouldn't be a worst case scenario whatsoever. But obviously it's a game of scattered rain. So you may see rain. You probably have a greater likelihood of not receiving anything in the way of rainfall. Just have the umbrella and the rain jacket prepared if you have any plans outdoors throughout the afternoon and the evening hours each day this weekend. Now we go into Father's Day Sunday. Around 1 p.m. we see rain starting to pop up. Not too good of a coverage of rain on Sunday. However, this is very likely to change. The chance for rain is going to continue as we go into the evening hours and the nighttime hours for just a little bit. We could even have some showers that try to hang around to the midnight hour, but I imagine many of you are going to be fast asleep by that point and going ahead and getting ready for the new work week next week. So let's talk about our storm outlooks. This is something that we've kind of found ourselves in just about each and every day here in central Georgia. Well, the day one storm outlook for your Friday, it doesn't look like we're in any form of organized severe weather risk. Now, just because we're not in any of these storm outlooks over the course of this weekend doesn't mean that we don't have the potential for a strong or a severe thunderstorm. We've seen that happen as recently as this past Wednesday with that severe thunderstorm warning down in Toombs County, a couple that have lingered into the overnight hours, maybe in Bibb County, Houston County, Twiggs County, but still no organized severe weather risk on the day one, the day two, or the day three storm outlooks. That takes us Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday this weekend, but we typically don't see any form of a storm outlook issued for these convective, these pop-up summertime-like storms. So we are probably not going to find ourselves in these severe weather risk or these level risk if we continue about this summertime pattern for the near future. We did see the SPC actually issue a level 1 the other day for a very summer-like setup. That kind of had us scratching our heads a little bit, and I don't think anything ended up coming to fruition with anything in the way of severe warnings, but you can't throw it out of the cards. It remains a possibility as we go into these summertime months each and every day. But the good news is the severe thunderstorm warning will be very isolated as opposed to being widespread like what we would see with a level 1, a level 2, or even a level 3 risk as of recently. Let's go through the Future View rainfall graphic. Now, this is going to go according to what you just saw on Future Views. So those areas that were receiving some rainfall, that's where you're going to see some of the totals a little bit higher. I just wanted to show you this because I wanted to hint at the possibility of, once again, locally heavy rainfall. This does not mean that after we're done with the weekend, Irwinton is going to receive exactly 9/10 of an inch of rain. Could it happen? Yes, it very well could. But what I want to turn your attention to is more so the higher totals. This says 3.1 inches of rain in Milledgeville over the entire course of this coming weekend. This just means that some areas could even see some totals up to that, maybe even a little bit above that, like 2.2 inches in Sandersville, same thing down in Wrightsville, just shy of 2 inches up here in Macon. This doesn't mean that these locations are going to receive those values, but some areas will. Those areas that do get some of those heavier thunderstorms and that heavy rain core associated with stronger and severe thunderstorms this weekend. So let's take a look at your weekend outlook as a whole. Not much change day by day. Friday forecast, high temperatures near 90 degrees, so pretty close to average for this time of year. 40% chance of seeing a shower or a storm into the afternoon and evening hours. Some of those look to linger into the nighttime hours specifically for Friday. But for Saturday, basically the same forecast, maybe temperatures not quite as high because some of this rain is going to pop up a little bit earlier in the day. So that could keep temperatures slightly lower, although I tried to go with more of a middle ground temperature about what those areas that maybe don't see rain as early as some areas will. And it does look like maybe 89, so 1 degree cooler, not really making that much of a difference. Still that 40% chance of seeing a shower or a storm, and that continues on for your Father's Day on Sunday, a high temperature near 90 degrees. But those high temperatures aren't really what you should focus on. Obviously, we pay attention to those temperatures because that is a good indication of how warm it's going to be in the afternoon. And yes, it's a good indication, but it's not telling the full story. What will tell the full story is if you factor in this surface moisture that we continue to have present, this very muggy air. I mentioned that we're getting flow in from the south, so we're ushering in all that moisture from the Gulf, from the Atlantic Ocean, and that's going to continue to keep our dew point temperatures in this very muggy category throughout the entirety of this weekend. And every time I mentioned here on this extended forecast, I do believe these gray dots are kind of undershooting it. I do believe our dew point temperatures actually get a little bit higher into that dark green box as we go through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That continues into Monday, and then once you get on the right side of this box, you do see a good amount of fluctuation. That will change pretty drastically day by day, but overall, it's not much of a change. Maybe seeing a slight downtick for Tuesday and Thursday, but overall, it's still going to be in the humid category. So the humidity will still play a factor, maybe not as much as the very muggy category would, but it will still play a factor in what your feels like numbers are going to be. So speaking of those feels like numbers, what do we have in store for this afternoon? Feeling like the low to mid 90s, some areas just outside of our viewing area, like Albany right there. 97 degrees is what the feels like temperature is. That's when you factor in that humidity with the actual temperatures. Did look like we pop up a 96 or a 95 here in central Georgia. Before that rain finally gets going, we get closer to sunset, and then finally some of these lighter colors, these yellows, maybe some of these oranges are going to continue to be your rain-cooled air associated with some of those showers and those thunderstorms. So as we go into your Saturday at 2 p.m., already seeing feels like numbers of maybe 79 here in Macon. If we're a little bit earlier to get the rain, then we would cool down just a little bit earlier. That would be very good because the counterpart of that is once again feels like numbers in the low to maybe even mid 90s. You see 97 here in Savannah, and you can't even see some shades of pink, which is what we don't want to see. Although it is the month of June, first day of summer is just about a week away. So it feels like numbers close to the 100-degree mark are possible in some areas as we go through Saturday and Sunday, but I think they're looking more likely as we go into next week when the temperatures are a little bit higher. Low in mid 90s once again for your Sunday afternoon. Once that rain begins to pop up, it will try to cool some areas down. We even see a 96 pop up here in Dublin, 97 down in Albany again. 99 is what the feels like number is in Savannah. I don't think I see anyone pop up a triple-digit number, so that is good news. But still, you're probably going to root for the rain with feels like numbers that are starting to flirt with the triple digits, and that will be the only good thing about the rain. Obviously, I know you want to have your outdoor plans, you want to have good weather for it, nice and sunny skies, but it doesn't quite look like that is going to be really in the cards if we do have these scattered rain chances, and that's going to be the good thing about the rain. It will cool these numbers down substantially down into the 70s where it is a lot more bearable and a lot more pleasant. So another good reminder with these warm temperatures near 90 degrees, maybe even a little bit above, the concrete and asphalt temperatures are going to hover well above that actual temperature, at least 125 degrees or at least 140 degrees on that concrete and asphalt as you go throughout the rest of this weekend. So make sure that you're taking good care of your pets, trying to walk them in grassy areas. If you have to walk them on one of those hard surfaces, then get them a pair of shoes to insulate their paws. Because if it's a little bit too hot for you, I promise you it's definitely too hot for any of your furry friends. And make sure to bring them a little bit of a water bowl, a portable water bowl that they can continue to stay hydrated with on their afternoon walk. So the Macon Bacon, they were in town this past Thursday and they're going out of town for Friday, but they will be back Saturday squaring off against the Florence Flamingos. You have a chance of a storm, a chance of a shower throughout the evening hours on Saturday. This is not set in stone. There is a good likelihood that you miss out on the rain entirely, but just go ahead and bring the rain jacket. And if you do see maybe a shower, maybe a thunderstorm, it causes about an hour delay in the game. And then the good news is that will have moved out as long as it didn't dump about 3 or 4 inches of rain on the baseball field at Luther Williams Field. You should be good to go. Temperatures also will be cooler after any rain showers that you may receive, but if it doesn't rain, about 88, maybe 84 for first pitch temperature as you're getting there right before the game. That feels probably more closer to the 90-degree mark before finally the closing innings we will see some temperatures get down more pleasant in the 70s. Taking a look at the Georgia Peach Festival, this is going to be weekend number 2 of this Peach Festival. Now it is moving up from Fort Valley all the way up to Byron. And this is going to be a one-day event on Saturday. Kickoff around 12 p.m. on noon on Saturday. Some scattered rain, possibility of a storm still does exist there as you go into the early evening hours. Possibly sunny already. We could maybe see that rain move out of the picture a little bit earlier into your Saturday forecast. And then by 10 p.m. trending a lot drier for fireworks, which will start around 9:30, I believe I saw online. So make sure that you're making plans to have the rain jacket if you're heading out to Byron for the second week of the Georgia Peach Festival. But not the only event we have going on here in Central Georgia. Take a trip down to Cordele like our meteorologist David Guerrero did right here. Friday and Saturday, you can have a day out with Thomas. So this is going to start around 10 a.m. in the morning and it's going to go until about 4 p.m. But the good news is if you do want to ride with Thomas, the weather looks a little bit better in the early morning hours, somewhere with temperatures in the 80s, obviously getting warmer into the early afternoon hours. But as you head into the late afternoon hours, that's when you're looking at maybe some showers and some thunderstorms to ruin the fun, but it is a really cool event. David went out there this past week and got to ride with Thomas, but they have lots of fun things to do out there, including the bouncy house, and obviously you'll want to hop in the train like our meteorologist did right there. So taking a look at your pool forecast as we go throughout this weekend, same forecast basically each and every day, somewhere around 91 degrees, pretty average high temperatures. Hot and humid, I bet that pool is going to feel mighty nice, but just look out for the chance of a shower, more so a storm each and every day. A reminder when thunder roars, go indoors. Sunset actually happening at 8:44. We continue to see that time get a little bit later. And as we go into next weekend, that will be officially the latest sunset that we have here in central Georgia. First day of summer, that longest day of the year. Then the days will get shorter all the way until the first day of winter. So have caution this weekend if you're planning on grilling out. I know that's probably what many of you are wanting to do, to celebrate Dad, enjoy a nice meal with your family. Yellow spatulas. So if you see it a little bit gloomy outside, you hear that thunder outside, you're probably not going to want to grill out. You're probably going to want to order in. But there's a good chance that you don't see anything in the way of active weather. So just kind of play it by ear and keep a close eye on that radar. So my recommended weekend attire, it did not change from last week. Have the rain jacket and the umbrella handy, and make sure that you have a way to receive any possible warnings if you are to get a strong or a severe thunderstorm notification. Otherwise, t-shirts, sunglasses, make sure you're applying that sunscreen, and obviously make sure that you are staying hydrated, kind of getting into one of the first big warm spells that we've seen as we go into the beginning of summer. So reiterating the point to stay hydrated for any afternoon activities is going to be something that I will continue to do pretty consistently in my forecasts. So long range models, let's go into the beginning of next week and see what's in store as we go into after your 7-day forecast. Plenty of rain still in the picture around us by the time we get into Monday evening. We'll continue to see these long range models fluctuate just a little bit, but I think we still have the potential for seeing some rain as we go into Monday. Still plenty of warm and humid air that can contribute to at least some pop-up showers and some pop-up storms each and every day. Tuesday, a little bit better coverage according to the Euro. GFS has most of our rain chances to the north and the northwest of us. Maybe some of these rain chances starting to thin out as we go into Wednesday evening, but I did pause it right here on Thursday at 9 a.m. Obviously, we're completely dry here in our neck of the woods, but this is something we have been looking for quite some time now. A little bit of organization indicating that maybe a frontal boundary is going to organize to the northwest of us and is going to try to push down into the south and the southeast. Well, you can continue to see this make progress down farther into the south and the southeast by Thursday at 6 p.m. This is kind of where the agreement amongst the long-range models does end, but it does look like something does organize and hopefully can try to push out, maybe slightly dry us out. As we go into next weekend, it would be very nice to ring in the official beginning of the summer season without any rain chances, but we'll continue to keep you posted. It looks like the first half of the work week is definitely trending pretty wet with all of the rain chances that we've had as of recently, but they might start to thin out as we go into that second half of the work week, specifically really just Friday. It does look like Thursday, if that front pushes through, then of course we would have some pretty widespread rain. Not much change in your afternoon high temperatures next week. It does look like we see a steady climb up, actually 1 degree, in fact, every single day. 90, 91 to 92 and 93. And obviously these temperatures, 93, 90, doesn't really feel all too different. But if we pair that 93 up with dew point temperatures that we've had as of recently, you can bet that it's probably going to feel like the triple digits. So just that slight increase in some of those temperatures can make all the difference for what it feels like outside. Not much to complain about with the mornings. It has been a humid start each and every morning, and we're still going to trend above average with these temperatures. That's going to be thanks to some cloud cover that's lingering from overnight showers, maybe even some storms. So just above the 70-degree mark each and every day, and the warmer our high temperatures get, we'll probably see some warmer temperatures to start out each and every morning for the morning lows. So now let's go past the 7-day forecast. How is that temperature outlook looking? This is for the first day of summer on June 20th. All the way into the 6 days past that. Well, we're pretty substantially over on the right side of this graphic, or this box right here. A very good probability. This is your near normal category, and we're 3 boxes over to the right of that. It looks like we have a good probability of seeing above normal temperatures. By the time we get to this time frame, about June 20th to June 26th, that's going to be when our high temperatures average are hovering somewhere around 92 or 93 degrees. We may very well have some mid-90s, maybe even upper 90s in the forecast right in time for the first day of summer. And that would actually correlate pretty well, especially if that frontal boundary does move through, dries us out. We don't have a lot of cloud cover. We don't have a lot of rain chances to help inhibit that warm up each and every day. And then obviously we would ring in the first couple of weeks, or at least the first week of summer, with some above average temperatures. That's definitely going to feel like summer in central Georgia. So how about the precipitation outlook? You can see down to the south and the southeast portion of the state hovering near normal in terms of how much precipitation is expected this first week of summer, but it does look like most of central Georgia just one category to the right. So a slight probability that we'll see above normal rainfall, although that's not too substantial whatsoever. We may just be dealing with our typical kind of pop-up summertime pattern like we have been dealing with, but not as much in terms of coverage like we have been seeing as of recent days. So looking ahead, Father's Day, the most immediate holiday on the horizon, that will be this Sunday. Hope you have a great weekend celebrating with Dad. And once again, don't let these rain chances discourage you from any outdoor plans. Just play it by ear, have that contingency plan. Remember, when thunder roars, go indoors, pack the rain jacket, pack the umbrella, but there's still a good likelihood that you miss out from anything in the way of rain. So for that matter, you're just going to want to pack the sunscreen, the sunglasses, and make sure you have a big water bottle to stay hydrated. First day of summer, I was just hinting at that. That will be on June 20th. And then I believe that official longest day of the year in terms of daylight hours will be the next day on June 21st. And then after that, the sunset will get a little bit earlier. The sunrise will also get a little bit later. We're going to continue to see those hours of daylight shrinking until we go all the way into the first day of winter, which will be December 20th, December 21st, a couple days before Christmas. 4th of July, you know what date that is. Back to school will start sometime in the end of July, getting into that first week of August. All of our central Georgia counties have different days that the schools start back on, but typically that very end of July into the first week of August, also speaking from personal experience, is the time frame that many of the kids are heading back to school. So it's not too far away, but you still have a ways to go. I just want to put that on your radar to continue to remind you, but not trying to be a Debbie Downer and tell you that back to school is just on the horizon. And I did mention we're going to continue to show you these tropical outlooks just about each and every week, trying to keep you updated about what's going on in the Atlantic. Well, number one, I put a pause point right here, and you can see a little iffiness with the satellite and radar picture. All of this faint brown color that you do see, this is Saharan dust that's moving off the coast of the Saharan desert back off in Africa. When you have this dust present, it does really inhibit tropical development, especially this time of the year, earlier into hurricane season. This update was taken as of 8 a.m. on Friday. No areas of interest that we are continuing to monitor, as this dust does span a little bit farther over to the west, back down into the Caribbean Sea. There's probably some into the Gulf region, maybe into the western Atlantic, not really picking up on much of it. But these are going to be your prime two regions right now for development, the Caribbean Sea and back over into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Plenty of cloud cover down here in the Central American Gyre, and you can see it is a very active picture over in the Eastern Pacific. They've already had 3 or 4 named storms thus far in the hurricane season, while the Atlantic, we haven't even made it to A as of yet. We've only had one area of potential development, and that was a low pressure system that did bring us plenty of rain, had tropical characteristics, but it only got to about a 10% chance of developing, and then it did dissipate, and then it made its impacts known here. But I think all of us are just fine with seeing a quiet picture in the tropics. Hopefully we can continue to have a couple more weeks of this as we go throughout the month of June, eventually into July. It's really not until we get into August and September that we start to see activity climb up the mountain right here. The peak of the season is officially on September 10th. You'll see this red shaded area. That's going to be hurricanes and your tropical storms. So some storms that can be below hurricane criteria, hurricanes down here in the yellow, but you still do see that this peak does correlate with around the same time frame. After that, we'll start to see activity get a little bit of a lull until we head into probably sometime in middle to late October, and that's when activity really does go quiet in the Atlantic Basin. So we still have a couple months to go before we really hit that peak season. That's going to be more so as we creep towards August. But we'll probably see a couple of storms between now and then that do get named, and we'll continue to keep you updated if any of them have a projected path here that would have implications to our forecast in central Georgia. So this weekend, I've said it every single day, probably teasing to it, the live radar is going to be a great tool to utilize to know what the weather is outside, where that rain is located, if you have a couple of hours to get in any outdoor plans. Continue to utilize that on our Weather Impact 24/7 stream, and along with that, we'll have our latest forecast on there from various times throughout the day, and we'll continue to put out some content that we do throughout the week. David and Ansley have done a great job showcasing Weather Network photos, explaining things that we don't necessarily have time to in our weather hits in more detail, like those MCSs, those mesoscale convective systems. And if you're a little more curious about the 2025 hurricane season, our special is still running on 13 WMAZ Plus. It's something we put a lot of work into, especially people behind the scenes, our producers, our managers, to correlating everything to give you all the information that you need to know ahead of this upcoming hurricane season. I guess not upcoming, this hurricane season right now officially, because it did kick off on June 1st. And kind of some things that we did learn when we were forecasting for Hurricane Helene and what we're going to take into account as we forecast for this 2025 hurricane season. So thanks for tuning in for your extended forecast. We'll be back on Monday at 10:30 for a look at what's ahead. But it's the summertime swing of things, folks. You're probably going to have rain chances just about each and every day until we get into those cooler months of the year. Just continue to keep those outdoor plans and make sure that you have a contingency plan if things do get messy outside. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic Father's Day.